Welcome to my first Grand Arena video. I'm just recording this one for the first time just to give it a test and try out recording my Grand Arena sessions each week, mostly for my own purposes, and so I can remember what I did and learn how to improve week on week. I'm a 5.1 million GP player. So I'm just gonna show my defenses. Obviously I've already attacked and they haven't. I'm playing in Aurodium 1. I kind of bounce between top of Aurodium and bottom of Kyber, which I think is okay at 5.1 million GP. I don't have all the toys, so a few of the teams you'll see are maybe a bit weird and non-traditional for people more used to watching, the top players in Kyber. But we make do with what we've got. I tend to save a lot of my teams for offense and just put teams on defense that I don't think I can get much use out of on offense. But I try and put at least a couple of strong teams in each territory. And my ships are in a pretty bad state, so they're pretty crap and generally get beaten really easily. So this first one I'm going to take in Wampa solo against Sith Eternal. The Sith Eternal has a level 9 Omicron on, which doesn't really give that much, but what it does give and why I added a Datacron for myself, their Datacron gives like 97% armor or something like that, so I decided to use my own Datacron to try and counteract that. But I don't actually farm Datacrons at all, or care that much about them, to be honest, because I don't have enough teams really. I'm mainly concentrating on getting the teams and characters that I am interested in and that I like to play. But as you'll see, this takes a while, but even with a level 9 Datacron, solo Wampa can beat this, and I do win. I wasn't sure I was going to win when I went in, but I thought I would at least kill the sides and then be able to clean it up with something else. But we'll see. I used Wampa solo against a Sith Eternal team last match, and it was actually a lot harder. I lost, despite that Sith Eternal having worse mods and no Datacron, because they were with Watt, and Watt gave them the shield tech, the tank tech, whatever it's called. And it just meant it took too long and I timed out. But this one with no tank tech, even though the Datacron provides 97% additional armor, I happen to have a Datacron that basically offset that. And so this takes a long time, and I didn't know it was going to work 100% going in, but you'll see it does pay off, taking a risk. And I was fairly sure, I could have used Wampa in a number of places, but I was willing to gamble that this would get me far enough that it would pay off for this match. And really I didn't have that many other options. I've only got one GL, JMK, and they put 2 GLs on defense, so if this didn't work I didn't really have an option, because I was already going to use my JMK to beat SLKR on the bottom front territory from their defense. My Wampa is Relic 7, which helps a lot. I wouldn't try it below Relic 7. And my Wampa's modded for max health. Health primaries on everything. and as much potency as I could kind of get. Because it does help if you can sometimes get the healing immunity that he uses, that's on one of his abilities. It does help if that can stick occasionally. So here, the other thing I was thinking about was that Sith Eternal is very close to his ultimate. And I really didn't want him to get his ultimate because the level 9 Datacron that he has on gives him a bonus turn when he reaches ultimate, so it was very lucky that I got that done. Now this is the next one. This is what I was talking about. I wanted to use my JMK against SLKR. So this one actually does get a bit dicey because I didn't bring in a tank. So JMK ends up eating a few of these SLKR attacks, and SLKR crits a few times. But it does work out. I probably could have played this better, or perhaps I just should have brought in a tank. But one of the things that I try and do is bring in as few characters as I think I can get away with, because it means that I can usually form another team with those characters. That can sometimes mean being able to beat an additional team on their defense. So that's why I didn't bring in Mace, who I usually would for stronger teams. Like if they'd had a Jedi Master Luke or something on defense, I would have brought in Mace with this as well. But it wasn't needed in the end, as you can see. Big Force Leap by Ahsoka, by Cat, and gets it done. 56 is okay, I think. Then I took in my Gear 8 Bad Batch against just pretty bad Ewoks. At Aurodium 1, and even in like Kyber 5, a lot of people still place crap Ewok teams on defense, and Gear 8 Bad Batch is more than enough to take them out, really. No matter what level, what gear the Ewoks are, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Most people don't put any good mods on their Ewoks, so it's essentially a free win with Gear 8 Bad Batch. But Bad Batch can also be used even at Gear 8 against lots of other teams, like bad bounty hunter teams with bad mods. Basically, any teams, not any teams, but a lot of teams, as long as they don't have faster speed than Tech and Echo, you can win. This team, oh yeah, I brought in my Maul that I'm gearing up against this Iden team. As you can see, Iden doesn't have either a Zeta or Omicron. So I didn't actually read her kit. I wasn't sure what the Zeta and Omicron do, so I thought I'd start going for Iden, thinking I can just kill her once and that'll be it, because I thought maybe without the Zeta she doesn't revive, but it looks like she does, and so I decided to swap to one of the other troopers and just kill them the normal way. I'm still learning to play Maul. He's currently geared 12, so that's why, I mean, I probably don't play this perfectly either, but it doesn't really matter. I wasn't really in much danger of dying here, I don't think. Like, Iden's very good value though for people who have her. Even this team without the Omicron and without the Zeta, I don't know what they do, but they make it a lot harder. And these troopers are low gear, and it still takes a while. My Bo-Katan is Relic 5, because obviously for Kenobi. but like they still do enough damage that, you know, if they were higher gear, you'd probably want to bring in something a bit better. Although I wouldn't probably bring in a Maul against that. Now I bring in the first team against Qui-Gon, and this does not go well, as you'll see. I thought I'd be able to get the contract pretty quick and then just disintegrate Anakin, but I don't get the contract fast enough and it all kind of goes downhill. So there was a chance that, being only 5.1 million GP, you've got to be pretty careful. You've got to be fairly sure that what you bring in is going to work first time, because you don't really have a lot of teams. If something doesn't work, it can mean you just aren't going to clear. Like you don't get a lot of chance to make mistakes. You can't, you know, you see people with 9 million GP accounts, they can take in pretty much as many teams as it takes to beat whatever's on defense, because they just have a lot of teams. But anyway, Anakin eventually got, I don't know if that was the bonus turn or not, but he just killed he just killed Grief and Mando. So I bring in Jedi Knight Luke with his 2 best pals, and this goes a lot better. I love Jedi Knight Luke. People put him on defense sometimes, but I don't really think you should. He beats so many things. He beats so many teams on offense with just him and Obi-Wan. Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of a waste putting him on defense. I guess not that many people do, but sometimes you see it in Aurodium. Anyway, this goes fine. For some reason, I don't know what the interaction is there, but Jolly used his revive ability, but it didn't revive Qui-Gon. I'm not sure why that didn't work. Yeah, it's not clear to me. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding what Jolly's mechanics are, or the conditions around that ability. I'm not sure if Qui-Gon, if the leadership gets reapplied when Qui-Gon is revived, or not. So I'm not sure if that team's very good at all. Anyway, this next one, I wasn't sure if it was going to work. There's like 2 instances of this comp against Jedi Knight Luke on swgoh.gg, but I was pretty sure it was going to work. I knew Jedi Knight Luke could be dazed, and I thought that would be enough to stop him from running too wild and just killing everyone. As you can see, I do make an effort to kill Hermit Yoda, because I think with Hermit Yoda's dispels, that would be a problem if you let him live. So I was fairly sure that once I got him alone, I could shock and daze him long enough that he would stop killing everyone. He wouldn't be able to kill everyone. My IG-11, even though he's only Relic 3, I think, is pretty tanky. So I wasn't that concerned about dying too quickly. Now I'm using my Qui-Gon team with the Omicron against Geos. This I do fairly often. The reason being, I don't have a really good answer to Geos apart from Vader. And I could have used Vader here, he was still available, but sometimes against quite fast Geos with high tenacity, which I think this Geo Brood Alpha is, sometimes my Vader, who's only Relic 3, isn't enough. So I tend to use Qui-Gon. Can get dicey, as you'll see. Qui-Gon dies in this match. But by that stage, usually Grandmaster Yoda has enough damage that he can just kill everyone, basically. It's not a great solution. I'd much rather have Traya, but sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do. I kind of use Qui-Gon and the Omicron as my, oh crap, what do I use here team. I don't have Jedi Knight Anakin, but Yoda does lots of damage under Qui-Gon. Now, as you can see, we're doing Rey Jedi training against this not very good Mandalorian team. You can basically just outspeed them and control them, which is kind of Rey's MO. She's a great character, honestly. Like, she beats so many good teams. My Rey is Relic 1, and BB-8 is Gear 12, and R2 is Relic 4. But, like, that's more than enough to beat pretty much any CLS, 2PO, 3PO team. So I always save Rey for offense in 3s. Do tend to put her on defense with a full resistance team in 5s though. Now I've got my Akbar Omicron team. I really like this team. If you can get out ahead, if you're fast enough to go first, or the other team just doesn't have that much lockdown anyway, you can pretty much turn me to train most teams. They're good against bounty hunters, they're good against separatists. Actually, yeah, no, they can be good against separatists, and they're good against First Order. Now we're basically just on to clean up, so here's my Relic 3 Vader, just gonna merciless massacre these rebels. It's not gonna be too difficult. And yeah, using my remaining bounty hunters against this Old Republic team. That's a Relic 5 Fennec and a Relic 5 Cad and Dengar's Gear 12. Yeah, no real trouble there. I was just looking for sure things at this point. Bit of a shame that Zalbar got an attack in, but it's alright. And I think this is the last battle before ships. Just remaining Jedi against some leftover Ewoks. Bastila, my Bastila's only Gear 10, but her Zeta is so good. Like, it can be used in so many circumstances against much better teams than just leftover Ewoks. The initial protection up, providing all that extra tenacity, is so valuable. Now onto ships. I'm taking my Separatist fleet against Chimera Empire. This is a pretty easy fight. But it's pretty low banners, as with a lot of Separatist fleet engagements. There's not really a lot of opportunity to gain back any banners. So you just gotta kill them before they can do too much damage to you, really. But as I said earlier, I don't have great fleets anyway, apart from, well, I do now have Profundity, but I didn't at this point for this 3s. But yeah, like my malevolence is only 5 stars because I'd rather use the gear, the tokens that you use to buy it. I'd rather use that to buy gear rather than level up malevolence to 7 stars. I don't really see it as a good investment rather than all the gear I could buy with that many tokens. So yeah, a very easy win. But yeah, 65, not particularly good banners. The next one is Finalizer. I'm taking my best fleet, Home 1. I really like the Rebel fleet. I didn't used to have Biston, but since getting Biston, it's extremely good and extremely reliable against almost every team, and can beat some undergeared executors. And my opponent does have executor, but they didn't place it on defense. So I'm not sure if my home one would have beat his executor. He has pretty good relics on his bounty hunter pilots, but not on his BAM. So I'm not sure whether I could have beaten that fleet or not. Anyway, I win this one, and overall that means I've dropped 1 battle on offense, which is not too bad, reasonably efficient, and I'll check back in and see how they've done once they've attacked as well. We're back, and as you can see, they attacked and they full cleared me. They did not drop any battles, so they win. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this first GAC roundup of my week. It's the last week of the 3v3 season, so there'll be a week's break, and if I decide to do this again, you might see some 5v5 next. Right, bye.